If you want to stay up to date with all current hip hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. Call Me If You Get Lost is Tyler the Creator's 6th studio album that released on Friday, June 25th. I made a lot of videos talking about this thing leading up to its release. I talked about the whole rollout process of it, and ever since then, I knew that this was going to be a project that I at least liked, because the way that Tyler started creating a narrative for it by, giving us those phone numbers to call, giving us those snippets, giving us those singles that were not full songs yet, but rather just, kind of visualized pieces with a music video. I love this whole rollout. I love the aesthetic of the whole thing. So I knew that this was going to be something that I at least liked. And now that we have this thing and I've listened to it a couple of times, we tried to do the listening party. If, you were there, it got taken down by YouTube, which is still a big L, but I hope y'all enjoyed it on your own. And now let's go deeper and talk about Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler, the Creator. So this thing starts off by introducing us to a new character, again, that Tyler created, called Sir Baudelaire, or Tyler Baudelaire. This character we've already known about ever since we got that little, permanent license of travel cover art. And this concept of traveling and him taking on this persona of this Sir Baudelaire who is traveling the world, we see that all throughout the whole album. We've seen him reference his passport a lot of times. We've, hear him say that the passport is his most valuable possession, for example, on Massa. And I like that this again is kind of this concept of Tyler being out in the world, being confused by the world, but just being mesmerized as well and just taking it all in. We've seen him do that on Flower Boy, although that was in a more, depressing negative way. But the same goes for Igor, where he discovers love. And this time I think it's more about the world in a grander scheme. This thing, the title directly references Call Me If You Get Lost. This is supposed to be something that people can turn to when they feel lost in their life. Tyler shows a lot of versatility on this thing. We have hard-hitting tracks like Corso or Lemonhead with 42 Doug, but then also very kind of slow-paced, just typical Tyler songs like Sweet, for example, which reminded me a lot of like the, deep cuts like Fucking Young that he had on Cherry Bomb. Then we also had Wilshire, which is my favorite track on here. This thing is 8 minutes, but it's him just rapping about a love affair of his, about a girl that has a boyfriend, but Tyler is kind of, the side number that she always turns to, but can never really, get in her feelings. And that's something that I think a lot of people can relate to. And Tyler does this in a very narrated way, and it just feels so relatable. Also, the kind of panning of his voice on this thing is just amazing. It feels like you're really immersed in the world. So Wilshire is my favorite track on here. Go listen if you haven't yet. I can say that probably those two long tracks, Sweet and I Thought You Wanted to Dance, are 9 minutes and 48 seconds, and Wilshire is 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Those are my favorite songs. I think those are the times that Tyler is his best. One thing I do want to mention is that you can't really pick up on a concept right away. It's not a chronological, order that you can just kind of sit through from top to bottom on this album and get the story right off the bat. Like, for example, we did on Igor. This very much goes through a lot more ups and downs, and I think in total, my man Bosnian commented that on a recent post I did, so shout out to him. He said that this is more about him gaining confidence in hip-hop, finding his place in hip-hop and becoming comfortable with the person, with the style that he has introduced us to. And I think that's, we see that perfectly on here. Sometimes there are these cherry bomb moments, like on Corso, like on Lemonhead, like on Lumberjack. And sometimes we have these Flower Boy moments, like on Sweet, like on Wilshire. And sometimes we have those Igor moments, like on What's Your Name. And I think this is a perfect encapsulation of what he's done in his career so far. So I'm loving that. Now let's talk about the features, because that was something that I immediately kind of worried about when I saw the track list. I mean, we have artists featured on here like 42 Doug, NBA Youngboy, Ty Dolla $ign. We have Tizo Touchdown on here. We have Daisy World on here, Uzi, Pharrell, all these people that I would never have thought that they would end up on a Tyler record, especially those first couple that I mentioned. Those are like popping artists right now. Doug, Youngboy, for example. But they fit on here so perfectly. I was so worried when I saw the track list that these were just going to be like bot features that are supposed to bring some type of replay value to these tracks, but the way Doug comes in on Lemonhead fits the track perfectly. It is amazing. I love that. The way that NBA Youngboy adds his verse to What's Your Name. Man, come on. That man killed it on there. I would have never thought that he would be capable of, like, you know, having a like a consistent verse on a track that's not just rambling all over the place. So I love that one. I also love that Tyler featured Tizo Touchdown on here. Not many people know about him. He's from New York. He's a very small artist. We've seen him get recognition at the Yammys earlier on this year from the ASAP Mob, but to be on a Tyler the Creator record this big at the height of his career, this is a big moment, and I love that he had him on here. Damo Genesis was also on here, which, you know, we kind of knew that there was at least going to be some type of Odd Future reunion on here or some type of stuff. So yeah, I love that. When an artist is capable of using his features not just to add a, you know, another verse to a song to get, you know, fans from different fan bases to listen to it, but rather get that artist to really add to the track and add to the narrative of the track, that's when a feature is done right, and every single feature on this album does that. So big props to Tyler for being able to pull this off. I don't think this album was necessarily like a big innovation or, you know, a revolution in Tyler's career. It's more part of a bigger evolution that we've seen him go through ever since those deep cuts on, for example, Cherry Bomb, then especially with Flower Boy and Igor, that is now continuing. He's still trying and still, you know, in the process of finding his voice in hip hop. He knows what he's done so far for the culture, for the sound, what he's pioneered, not just in terms of music, but also in terms of, you know, the Odd Future movement, the whole Golf Wang stuff. So Tyler, I think, is very well aware of his influence so far, and I think this album perfectly encapsulates that struggle of finding that. And I think that at the end of this album, you really get the feeling that he, of course, goes through a lot of stuff and, you know, in his own life and, you know, discovering the world and all that, but in the end, he's still confident in whatever he's accomplished. So big shout out to Tyler for this album. I think this is really going to just gain value as time moves on. It's doing very well commercially so far, so I love that people are into this and digging this, because this truly is a great piece of art, to be honest with you. Okay, that's my thoughts on this. Now I want to know what you think about this. Did you like this track? What do you think of the single tracks on here? What's your favorite track? What's your least favorite track? What do you think of those features? 42 Doug, NBA Youngboy. Did you think they pulled it off? Let me know where you would rank this in Tyler's discography in terms of all his projects, especially compared to Flower Boy, Cherry Bomb, and Igor. All of that, let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.